obviously still disappointed over our performance on Saturday, but at the same time, got to be excited about hosting one of the top 20 teams in the country and the team that's in first place in our conference here tomorrow night.
Michael Lagnano, you can get us started.
Hey, Frank. I saw your tweet earlier this morning about Pedro Gomez and Lou Hill. And, I didn't know Pedro super well, but I had the opportunity to cover his son Rio out in Omaha a couple of years ago. And I could just see how proud Pedro was of his son and just the warmth that he had just in general. And just curious, what was your connection relationship like with him, and just how are you reacting to that news?
Two Cuban kids, man, that knew each other since we were kids. In 1983, he and I were brand new employees at Ocean Bank of Miami, which had just started. And we worked out of a small trailer because there wasn't an office building. So while the building was being built, we were in a trailer. And, since then, our friendship has continued to blossom and grow, and to a brotherhood, a real brotherhood, not one of these phony brotherhoods that you hear people talking about. We went from there to, I was a first baseman, he was a shortstop, we both, if you understand the community that we grew up in, not too many people take a chance to step outside the box and leave, to create a profession, to create a career. In our culture, you tend to stay real close to family and home and just work and make the best of it. And, his dad was a vice president at the bank. When we were two young, stupid kids trying to figure out what life had in front of us, just a real big gut punch last night, man. It's, I don't know what's happening in the world right now, man. It's a difficult time to process and understand, and the bad thing is that it's the good guys, it's the good guys that we're losing. And it's Pedro's was a dear friend, unbelievable spirit. All he ever wanted to do was help others. I remember him calling me when Rio was a junior in high school, maybe. He's one of the few guys that still calls me Frankie. Just to see if South Carolina would have an interest in Rio, because and then I remember him calling me and saying, Frank, I appreciate everything, but Arizona just called, and I get to see him and lived his life for his family, man. Sorry for it. Just excuse my cussing, but this shit makes no sense, man. It's I somehow we got to have faith that there's a rainbow coming here eventually one day.
Mike Uva.
Hey, Frank, sorry to have to transition back to basketball after that. Sorry for your loss, but what has it been like, since Saturday's game? I know you've talked about in terms of trying to simplify things at times for your team. I know it doesn't really give you that much turnaround in terms of trying to get ready from a game from Saturday and getting ready now for a game tomorrow night. But what kind of adjustments did you make, if any? And where's the kind of the team's morale after having a practice before tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of adjustments, from that. Mississippi State is real good defensively. We defensively, they just kept, like I told you guys after the game, they just kept gut punching us and, and just, body blow after body blow after body blow. And eventually defensively we cracked, and give them credit. They made jump shots and, built the lead. We're up 47-45 with 14 and change on the clock. And, and the only reason we took that lead there was because I believe we made 3 3-pointers in that stretch to start the second half. But, our inability to run plays, for lack of better words, hurts against a team like Mississippi State, because they're so sound defensively, and they're so physical and so big. There's a game that we had to make 10 threes to win. That was a game. And obviously we only made 5. To give you an example, at Florida, we did a great job of continuing to attack the paint. Mississippi State just didn't let us. And in the first half, we had 39 offensive possessions. We in 18 of those 39, the ball never touched the paint. We scored 0 points on those possessions. In the second half, there were 40 possessions. The ball did not touch the paint in 21 of those 40 possessions. We only scored 8 points. And give them credit, man. They guarded us. They just beat us up physically. And going into the game, because I knew that's how they play. I knew we had to make jump shots, and we made one early to give us an 11-5 lead. Then we made 3 right to start the second half to give us a 47-45 lead, and then we really didn't make any more to the very end of the game, and it was disappointing.
John Del Bianco.
Frank, Alabama is a team that, averages 40 rebounds a game. No surprise, given how highly ranked they are. Just how big of a part of the game is that tomorrow night, given how poorly you guys rebound the other day?
Yeah, I mean, we could not get on the offensive glass. I told you guys Mississippi State made it a point that as soon as we went, they'd hit us, which is a legal play. I use the word hit, but they created what we call first contact, and we gave in to contact. We never played through the physicality of that, just like the screens. They kept screening us, and we eventually stopped playing. Started complaining about getting screened rather than get through screens. And you don't create moving screens if you avoid the screen. And, you got to run through contact. I mean, you play any kind of sport, man. That's everyone, baseball, talk about hitting the ball over the fence. It's awesome. But when you're on first and your teammate hits a ground ball to second, man, you're going into second to take that guy out. And if you don't, you're not doing your job. In football, we watched it last night. I understand everyone falls in love with the cute guys, the guys that do a lot of sit-ups and a lot of push-ups and they look real pretty. Those fat guys on the line win the game. And if your fat guys on the line can't deal with the fat guys that are in front of them, you're not going to win. I don't care how cute. Think about, everyone says that to win in football in today's day and age, you got to have a quarterback that runs. Well, the guy that has won 7 of them, I don't think he can beat me in a sprint. So it's we just, Alabama is a different animal. Their rebounding comes offensively from they drive the ball, like they just put their head down and go and force you to help. And if you help, they kick. They do an unbelievable job of making decisions early, not late when they drive the ball. And then they shoot a lot of threes. So there's a lot of long rebounds, and, you're caught scrambling because you're trying to figure out how to help on drives and get back to shooters. And when they miss, it's a long rebound. And It makes defensive rebounding a little more complicated. And then defensively, they're old. Herb Jones is the MVP of this conference. He's been my favorite player for a couple of years now. And he uplifts his team. He's all about winning. Some games they need him to make threes. He makes them. Some games he never even attempts a shot, but he dominates the game with who he is and how he plays, and he uplifts his teammates. So, it's going to be a hard game.
Colin?
Frank, obviously some raw emotion from you. I'm just curious, in a year like this where you've talked about how hard it is for the players mentally and for you as coaching staff, how do you get guys to focus? Is it harder this year, and how do you balance needing to go play games with the emotion that obviously you and the rest of the team has had in what's been kind of a roller coaster season?
Yeah, this year's been really hollow. The spirit to go win is it's hard to maintain and sustain that, because we're everyone. I'm not just saying us; it's everyone. We're all dealing with such constant heartache, man, and I've lost a lot of people that I grew up with in the last year. I lost a lot of people that that have been unbelievably dear to me in my life that are not actual family members, and then dealing with just the whole environment of what we're trying to do right now. We lost Anthony Stewart, before right at the beginning of the season, who's one of the kindest human beings in the coaching industry. Then yesterday morning we lose Lou Hill, who is one of the most incredible human beings that I've met in coaching. It's just it's a complex. Colin, I don't diminish anyone's walk in life, and I don't try to put our walk in life to be more complicated than others. But I've said this for a while now. We're trying to play a normal basketball season under abnormal conditions in the world, and it's a square peg in a round hole. And a lot of times you go home and you wonder, why are we doing this? And but it's the responsibility that we've signed up for. It's the marching orders that we've been given, and somehow, some way, we have to stay strong and have tremendous faith, man, that we're doing this for the right reasons.
Dick?
Frank, what do you see as being the keys going into the game tomorrow night?
And we got to keep the ball in front of us. All you got to do is watch their bench. He's going to tell his players, drive the ball, drive the ball, drive the ball. Nate just encourages, driving the ball. And when they get stagnant, it's because they're not driving the ball. So we have to be really good on the ball. They're going to set some ball screens. I don't know. They're not as physical in their screen setting as Mississippi State was, but they're very creative with their screen setting. Mississippi State, where the screen's coming and when it's coming, and you got to deal with it. Alabama does different things. They slip them. They ghost them. Sometimes they set them. Sometimes they don't use them. You got to be really, really careful, and with your attention to detail on the coverages, because all they're trying to do is get you to make a mistake. When you make a mistake, they just attack you, and when they attack you, they're coming at you downhill, and I'll get you scrambling. And everyone talks about their three. They shoot threes. They probably shoot more layups than anybody in our league. And you can talk about spacing, all that sounds good. It's the guys that drive the basketball and their decision-making to get the ball into the paint. I just gave you guys our paint numbers from the Mississippi State game. If you get the ball in the paint, you're going to win. And when you don't, it's hard to score. And they're really good at getting that ball in the paint.
Joe?
Coach, I want to circle back just to a couple of things that you were referencing throughout this. You talked about basically the big uglies, and do you feel like you have the personnel to be physical throughout the rest of the season? And also you talked about the spirit, right? Do you feel like this team has that desire and that hunger to continue to try to improve and reach its potential as you go through the season?
I hope so. I mean, we saw it with our fight at Florida, and I go back to the same, 14 and change, we're up 47-45. And, I believe the talent is there. I believe the willingness is there. It's just, Joe, I talked to Tom Izzo the other day, and he's struggling with the same things because of the environment that we've all been in for the last year. And when I say we, I'm not talking about just basketball. I'm talking about all of us as human beings, and all the stuff that continues to happen, and the uncertainties, and the people losing jobs, losing lives, people sick. I think it's created a mindset that when things get really hard, you throw in the towel, and that's, as a coach, I'm not saying I'm fighting that, but you're trying to manage that. I like this team from day one. I see the flashes. I see all the good that can be there. I'm a little frustrated with some things, but those are private between me and them. It's not stuff I put out public, and that's no different than any year and every journey. Even the Final Four year, which was as good leadership as I've ever had on a team. I had some stuff going on behind the scenes that was, I had to deal with, and I wasn't happy with dealing with it, but it was what it was. It's still, it's part of the job. You don't give in because you're dealing with a difficult internal moment or decisions or whatever it may be. But this year's just, from a leadership standpoint, I can't do that. I can't show up and throw in the towel or create the safety net as an excuse. I've been telling you, you guys for the last couple of weeks, we've been dealt a certain hand, and it is what it is. We can't sit around and make excuses and blame COVID or blame this or blame the fact that we played 7 of our first 11 on the road. All that's excuses, man. Nobody want to hear that nonsense. It's the journey we're on, and we've got to figure out a way to trust in each other so we can deal with the adversity that we have to deal with. Doesn't mean no one else has adversity. Everybody's got adversity, and at the end of the day, how we manage the difficult moments determines how tall we can stand. And right now, we got good moments, and then we got other moments like that 6-7 minute stretch in the second half from 47-45 against Mississippi State that I got no idea why that happens. And bottom line is we didn't play as hard and as disciplined as we needed to, or as we had tried to play for the first 25 minutes of the game. And then all of a sudden we hit that pocket that just drills us, which is what happened against Liberty. That was pre-COVID, like our shutdowns. We played pretty good, had a bad stretch, and that stretch killed us the rest of the game. It's what happened at Houston. We had a lead, had a bad stretch. And the one thing that this team has done, and I've got to figure out a way to fix, when you start bleeding, you got to stop the bleeding. We can't stop the bleeding. When we start bleeding, instead of it being an 8-2 run, it's a 15-0 run. And it's really hard to recover when you have that moment of a game against quality opponents.
Gene?
Hey, Frank, how do you feel physically right now, and what lifestyle type of adjustments have you had to make over the last few months?
Yeah, Gene, I feel better today than I have in a long time. I'm starting to, I told the team yesterday, I'm starting to feel good again. So, knock on wood, after what we just went through with Lou Hill, and Pedro, who was healthy, great shape, and it just, it makes you. I'm not 30 years old anymore. I used to think I was bulletproof, and there were times I tried to figure out if I was bulletproof. Thoughts go through my head now every time I see someone dear to me, or someone I don't know that's perfectly healthy, that just boom, and you start getting a little older, you start worrying, what adjustments have I gone through? It's hard. My wife and I enjoy going out to dinner, going to see a movie. It gives me a 6-hour window that I kind of separate from work, so I can enjoy life, get around folks. Like, I'm not a hermit. I don't live underneath a rock. I don't hide from people. I enjoy going to Walmart. I enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy going to, actually, my wife heard me say Walmart. She'd get mad at me. She's not a fan of Walmart. But I like going to the store. I like going to a restaurant. I like going to a movie theater. I enjoy engaging in conversations in a social setting with people that want to talk my life, their life, my team, whatever. I can't do any of that stuff right now. And I was a little more careful with what I was doing in the summer. But out of responsibility to our team, I can't ask our players to avoid social life, and then I'm going to dinner with my wife every other night at a different restaurant. It's not, so it's an adjustment to live life the way we usually do it. Here, I'll give you an example. In the past, I love the ocean. I make that known. It gives me peace. Listening to it, smelling it, seeing it makes me feel good. If we had a Wednesday off, my wife and I would get in the car Wednesday morning and drive down to where you're at and just peek at it, man, and have dinner and then drive back. And it would get my mind away from basketball for a little window there, which kind of, in our business, it re-energizes you for the next day. And we haven't been able to do any of that stuff. And it's my recliner, it's my computer, it's my office, and it's the gym. That's basically what we see right now.
Colin?
Yeah, Frank, I think after the Mississippi State game, or at some points during the season, you mentioned you were focusing on defense and practice a little bit more maybe than offense. I'm curious, with the defense now having a few weeks to set, do you focus a little bit more on offense now, or kind of how do you approach that in practice?
Defensively, with all the adjustments that we made, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, here's the thing too, to fix a lot of things, there's a certain physicality that you have to practice with. Well, when this week we're in right now, when you play at Florida, and then I know we got 3 in a row at home, but you're basically playing 4 games in 9 days. And, when you got those kind of games in such a small window, you got to limit what you do in practice, especially when your team is not trained because of what we've talked about, what we dealt with. To sustain a certain amount of physicality and effort and conditioning, because you've been deprived of building. You don't like wake up after 7 weeks and say, you know what, I'm gonna go jog 25 miles. That you just don't do that. You say, you know what, I'm gonna go jog twice around the block and see if I can catch my breath. And then tomorrow I'm gonna try and jog 3 times around the block, and then 4. And then if you're one of those people that I've never understood how people can run for 25 miles, but that's, we all have our own path and our own thing that brings us joy. So then you eventually build into that, well, we haven't been able to build into that because we're trying to fix everything and make adjustments right in the middle of it. today we're going to spend time on offense. And we're going to spend some time on defense, but we're going to have to trust that our defense is going to. I thought our defense against Mississippi State was not bad. I didn't think we were awful defensively. I thought that our missing shots, their screening, all that kind of broke our spirit. And it hurt us in that window in the second half. But offensively, Mississippi State stays in the paint. They really protect. And so you got to be able to run different things to get them out of the paint. But the most important, the easiest way to get them out of the paint is make jump shots. And we didn't make jump shots. And then we couldn't run anything creative because we just haven't been able to do that. And the team that I prepared in October is offensively for the season is not the way we're playing offensively right now, because we had to make so many changes there too when we reconvene because of personnel issues. So it's complicated, but at the end of the day, it's something we have to do. And today we're going to spend more time on offense.
Mitch?
Coach, I know you haven't had much time to practice, let alone, but you talk about keeping the spirits of your guys up. Have you been able to do any of that spirit building with them, or has it been just, whenever you have practice time, just try and get some practice in with the way that the schedule has been this year for you guys?
Yeah, I rarely I've been here for 9 years, and all I ever hear is people out loud say I scream too much, and then in private they come ask me to never change. So it's a confusing journey. It's like the popular thing publicly is say, oh, that guy yells too much, but then privately they'll come grab me and they whisper in my ear, don't ever change. And I think it's pretty comical that's the conversations that always go out in public about me. But this year, I can't yell at these guys right now. I can't raise my voice. I just finished telling you that all the things that are going on, and it creates confusion. So our guys have been, they practice pretty well. I wasn't happy with practices leading into, I don't remember who it was, but outside of that, we practiced good going into Mississippi State game. We practiced fairly well going to Florida. That, these guys are, their voices are loud. They bring a certain spirit there. The things that we have not been able to learn is the ability to trust each other on the court and the ability to grow. You don't grow in games, you grow in practice. That's the biggest fallacy that exists out there. Everyone says, well, man, you don't grow in a game. The game is a reward for growing in practice. And that's where your repetitions, where you rehearse, where you learn, how you learn to trust, because strategies are put in place in practice. And now guys in practice realize, like, that guy's doing his job. I can trust him. That guy breaks down every time. I can't trust him. So we're trying to figure all that out on the fly. And it's fine. They try. I got no, by the way, if I'm sounding a little right now, it has nothing to do with basketball. It's just, I've been kicked in the sack in the last 24 hours. And by the time I walk on the court today and deal with the players, my personal stuff will be in a box. My enthusiasm for basketball will be front and center again. The players don't need to be dealing with me lacking spirit or enthusiasm. But I don't raise my voice. I really don't. Compared to what I usually do, I'm doing a lot more talking about the things that we have to change for our team to grow in this small window that we have, rather than demand it by on the court and getting after it and competing. And so there's a lot more communication, storytelling. I usually do that in the off season. That's where I do all the storytelling and all the history and past experiences to get players to understand that they're not the only ones that are dealing with certain journeys. Other guys have too. But this year I'm having to do it right in the middle of the season. And it's okay. It's what I think I have to do right now and what I believe I have to do right now. And, I just hope that all that truth telling and all the storytelling can get our guys to trust a little better on the court so we can have more success when we play games.
All right, we'll go two more. First up, Phil, and then John. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. Hey, Frank. Are you expecting, if you know enough about what's going on with Alabama, are you expecting Jordan Bruner to be back for them tomorrow night? And secondly, you have any plans to go down to Florida to be with the Gomez family for services or a funeral or anything like that?
Pedro's family's out in Tucson. That's I shouldn't say Tucson, outside the Phoenix area. His wife's out there, and Pedro's dad died of a heart attack. I want to say about 18, 19 years ago. I could be off on that. Don't quote me on that one, but it was right in that time frame. His brother also passed away. One of the great things Pedro did was when he covered the United States with Obama's administration going to Cuba for baseball. He took his brother and his father's ashes and he spread them in their old neighborhood and in Cuba. And so I don't think I can fly across the country for that. It's going to be hard, but it's my spirit will definitely be there. I can promise you that. As far as Jordan, I don't think he's going to play. From what my assistant that has a scout, when I met with him yesterday, from what he told me, I don't think he's going to play. So, we'll see. I know, obviously I know the family. Sister played here. Tommy's my son's teammate. His mother's just a beautiful person. I recruited Jordan some out of high school, and then I actually had 2 conversations with him when he decided to be a grad transfer, or not decided. The whole Ivy League situation made him be a grad transfer. So I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets healthy. I hope because he was playing really well when he got hurt. So I hope that happens. And by the way, Phil, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but maybe this picks up my spirit a little bit. There's a reason why you should never be concerned with the 3rd string offensive tackle. If you watched the game last night, that guy can't block. So it's cover the 1st string tackle. Those guys are a lot more important than the 3rd string tackle.
That's why he's 3rd string.
I know, but here I find out more about 3rd string tackles than I do about my starting point guard. So I can't help myself, Phil. I watched the game last night. I can't help myself.
We'll go last question to John whenever you're ready.
Frank, going back to your answer to Joe, do you think the way you've had to approach coaching some of these guys this year, or coaching the team this year, has had an effect on the personality or the identity there? And do you see some of these lessons that you're teaching them in season versus in the off season? Do you see that as a way you coach some in the future as well, even past this season and on to a more normal type of year?
The first answer is complicated. The second one's easy. I've got faith in my heart, and it's what I keep telling the players, that you don't manage every situation the same way. Who you are to your core, you always have to stay strong there. And I'm at peace that I'm going to manage this the way my heart and my mind are connected and telling me on how I have to manage it, to help this team become the best it can be until we get to that finish line. And that finish line in basketball, college basketball, fluctuates. That finish line is different for everybody. It's not, everyone doesn't have the same drop that day. So I have no doubt that I will be a better basketball coach when this season's over. Does that mean that You know, I changed drastically. I don't know. I don't have that answer right now, but I know that to my core, I'm never going to deviate from who I am. I refuse to do that. I got too many former players that would kill me if I ever changed who I am to my core. And my grandmother would figure out a way to make sure that broomstick would come flying in, even though she's not with us, and whack me upside the head some way, shape, or form. The first one, I don't know if it's preventing us from having an identity, John. But personally, it drives me nuts because I'm not used to not being the most physical team on the court. I'm not used to my guys complaining about fouls. I'm not used to that. I'm used to our guys playing through contact. I'm used to, hearing other coaches complain that we foul. I'm used to why? Because we don't run away from contact. I'm not used to that. And right now we have moments where we don't play through contact. We play around contact. And anytime you play around contact, you're just not going to win. And so that's, the moment is asking me to lead differently, to coach differently. That means I've got to trust that. But it also means that I don't like speaking about myself because it's not about me. It never has, never will be. So I struggle saying stuff about me. But one of the reasons I demand a lot from players and they respect it and they give it is I bring it every day. There's not a day goes by that I don't bring unbelievable energy and enthusiasm and discipline and fight to that practice court. And, and I just told you, I can't do that anymore. It's not that I can't do it anymore. I just don't think I need to do it right now. And is that affecting that moment? Probably. And as far as the personality and how we do things. But I've got to be at peace, man, that's what's right now. Because, players, their mental state, I've said this before, man, you go in there and you get your nose stabbed 3 times a week, not to see if you're healthy, to see if you can play. That creates a mindset, man, that's different. And so it's, if you're going in to get your nose stabbed just to see if you're healthy, okay, but here, what we're doing is just to see if we can play. And sometimes you go home, you're like, why am I doing this? It's so that's why I can't be overbearing with making basketball more important than life right now. But I don't know. We're going to keep fighting the battles. I got good dudes. My staff's been awesome. And we're going to be excited about what we do. We're just doing it a little differently right now. And eventually the finish line gets here. And hopefully this whole COVID atmosphere just like goes away. And I'll hit the reset button and gather my marbles and then figure out how to handle the spring and summer and moving forward, whatever way the temperature requires us to do our jobs.